Welcome to the Healing Hour. I am your host, Athena Rodriguez, and we'll be having some healing conversations. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Healing Hour podcast. Today, we have two wonderful guests. We have Ken and we have Vic. I'm going to let them introduce themselves a little bit. So, Ken, tell us a little bit more about what you do, who you are.
I'm Ken Gilliard, President, CEO of Top Choice Lending, Gilliard Homes, Gilliard Hospitality Group. What else? Shit, everything.
Entrepreneur, period.
Entrepreneur.
Yes, sir. My name is Victor Madu. I own logistics and distribution companies. I own probably the biggest sports betting community in the country. That's Go Sports. Shout out to the guys. And I'm a financial influencer, so I try to teach people how to manage their money online.
Okay, so that leads us into today's topic. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. So we're talking all about the money today. And so you guys are both clearly, I mean, whoever's watching on Apple can't see that they're black men, but these are beautiful black men.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
who've climbed their way financially to being extremely successful. So tell us a little bit more about your journey on being successful. How old were you when you knew that you were going to be successful?
Shit, am I successful? No, I'm
As
just
hell.
playing. No, I guess my journey started a while ago. I've been working at like just for different jobs, different people until I kind of came up with myself. Always been in commission, so always been into sales. At one point I was the youngest black service director for BMW North America.
Period.
I say that proudly because going into those meetings with those white boys, I mean, shout out to them, but I was the only different in there. You know what I mean? I was young and I was black and I was new to the business. And so just going into that type of lifestyle, living in Florida and being able to control my own destiny, meeting the people I've met within that journey. And then now those people that were once my clients are now my business partners and my friends, to have that going. And then stepping from the dealership world to real estate, that was a journey. Going from getting my license and working for a couple mortgage companies to starting my own mortgage company when I was 27. And now I'm 33 and having over 20 loan officers for my company. And we're located in 3 different states.
Sheesh.
You know what I mean?
He asked if he's successful.
I
hate to be broke to you, Ken.
Right, no. Right. No, but just building that journey and being in the finance industry in my journey and to what it is now, and being one of the largest in the state of Texas as far as black owned. And I don't like to necessarily label that as my business because we're very diverse within my company. And just to grow from my couch in Florida to what it is now is amazing. And to turn people into thousandaires and 100,000aires into, hopefully a few of them become millionaires. It's, to see that journey happen and me be a part of that it's simply amazing for me.
I know if you're in the car dealership world, you gotta have some hustling.
Oh, it's definitely
like
hustling.
the biggest
100%.
hustlers I know started off by selling cars or in the dealership industry. Period.
Yeah, it definitely was a journey, but just learning how to be a seller in that market, and how to basically let my brand sell itself. Because I didn't work in a place where you had 5 different dealerships in one city. I worked in a rural town, so people had to drive an hour to come see me, or they could have just went down the street to the neighborhood mechanic. So for me to build a rapport with people, and take that and to the real estate world is simply a blessing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, Vic, tell us a little bit more about, your logistics and sports betting. I have a lot of questions about that. But it's so interesting. So tell us a little bit more about your journey.
My journey kind of started like at a young age. I've never had a job before. I've been working for myself since I was 12 years old.
Okay.
My first business, I used to draw art for people and sell it in 6th grade. And people was buying it to the point where I'm coming home with $50 a week. And my mom was like, where's the money coming from? But she didn't understand you could hustle and make your own money at any age. And you're never too young to start your own business. So I rolled that into, obviously, around high school, I got into sneakers, cleaning shoes, buying shoes, flipping shoes. So if you're on Facebook Marketplace, then you already know what I'm talking about. So I was doing that for some time. Ended up going to college. And I started my first clothing brand. That was For the Love Clothing. That's what made me drop out of school. So I sold $3 million worth of clothes.
Period.
Dropped out of school, went all in on the business. I skipped my final exam to go to New York Fashion Week. Like, it was just all types of crazy decisions I was making, and that kind of got me to where I'm at right now. We saw the need of a lot of other young people trying to start their clothing brands. They didn't have the logistics and the distribution and the fulfillment centers. So we were doing all of this stuff from our apartment. Like, our apartment looked like a warehouse. So we ended up investing in some space out here in Houston, and we started taking on clients for other people that needed the same service. So we ended up doing we shipped about 2,000, 3,000 products a month just for other people. That's not including my brand. So we got into that, got into stock market, real estate, obviously, and then the sports betting. So sports betting started when I was in a stock company, and a lot of people were kind of moving away from stocks into things that were like more fast money during COVID. And one thing that I did notice was that I didn't have to teach people anything about sports. Everybody already know about sports.
Yeah.
You know, when the stock market, you tell them something crazy, they're gonna be like, I don't know what that means. Like, I'm kind of just turned off towards it. And people don't want to learn nowadays. So I feel like sports, the fact that people already had like a baseline foundation of information, I was like, we could do some sports betting in here. And then that started with like a group chat, me and like 10, 20 homeboys. We were losing all day, every day. But we started,
Not
you
really.
know, and then we started catching on to some patterns and things like that. And I think we've peaked out at about 15,000 members. And it's been steady ever since. So.
I can attest to what this man is saying.
Oh, he's in the chat.
I'm in the chat too. I'm a member. I'm a member as well, and I just be like, God, dog. It's crazy the amount of money these guys are making. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think it's really refreshing to see Black men take a chance on themselves, because I think we only see wealth representation when it comes to Black men. When we talk about sports players and rappers, and although those things can be very lucrative, and
Right.
Black men tend to be very great at them, there are other avenues that you can dominate your own lane.
I
you
can
know?
hoop too. I
Period.
get down, whatever.
Y'all do anything.
Right.
Y'all some bona fide hustlers, which is why I invited y'all on the show. I was eavesdropping on their conversation. And I was like, nah, I got to have these guys on the show, because I think that's what, the culture needs, is there's more than one way to make money. And it seems like you guys have navigated a lot. So tell me a little bit about, like, when do you know that it's time to pivot into a new hustle?
Man, that's a good question, because a lot of people tend to try to do everything at one time. I think you just become a master at one.
Right.
Everybody want to be a jack of all trades, but to finish that saying, you got to be a master of one first. So once I became amazing at one thing, I started pivoting to other things. Once I got into real estate, once I started doing mortgages and started being good at it, I started growing my team.
Yeah.
But then I started flipping houses too at the same time. And then once I realized that flipping houses is like kind of like a passion thing for me,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy that, the design, like all my designs, all my houses, like I do myself. Once I realized that was a thing for me as well, I literally invest in both my businesses. I take the money that I make from Top Choice, and I put it back into Gilliard Homes, and Gilliard Homes pours back into Top Choice.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a blessing to have both. And then once I became great at both those things, and I have a team and I have my systems is important for anything, and processes. Once I got those in place, I began branching off to other things. Now I'm into the nightlife and hospitality, which is new for me. That's a new baby for me. That I'm still learning. It's beating the fuck out of me right now. For real. I'm
And
sorry for
shout out
cursing.
to,
It happens.
what is it? We have Jolie
And Bliss, but me being an entrepreneur, I know that you have to go through these things to become great. And every mistake that you make, unfortunately in entrepreneurship, like sometimes it comes with a cost out your pocket.
That part.
But you'll never make those mistakes again. And then I know that where I am now, I'm just here. And I know that there's like no ceiling to where it can go with it. So, just become great at one thing first and then go from there.
And then, so Vic, how do you know when you need a pivot?
I think one thing that Ken said that was really important was the word passion. I always tell all my students, anybody I'm mentoring, if you don't find yourself passionate about something that you're doing, automatically got to pivot, because with passion comes profit. And when you're working on something, you're going to have your green days and your red days.
Yep.
And if you got red days for the first 2-3 months, how much longer are you going to be able to stick it out? Are you passionate about this, or are you trying to make a paycheck? So if you can't find yourself doing something for free, don't do it.
Don't do
Because
it.
you're going to
That's
be doing
very
it for
right.
free for a while. So if you can't do it for
Facts.
free, then don't do it. That's how I think.
That's solid. I mean, I feel like with a lot of entrepreneurs of color, like I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a black woman. A lot of times we don't get the loans and the grants and the things that, the corporate funding that we want. So we end up having to pick up a bunch of different hustles.
Right.
Like, at this time, like I'm working on a bunch of different things. Okay, this funds this, which funds this, and eventually it's going to make money, it's going to make revenue, but I have to invest my own capital in it, which makes me into more passionate about it because I don't want to lose any money. So it's something that we don't get often. So what do you suggest for people who can't really, people who are having trouble funding their own projects? How would you suggest they get their work off the ground?
So it kind of just depends on what it is, right? So I'm gonna use real estate for an example, right? Because that's what I know. And so when I don't have funding for a project, right, I have the knowledge of that, right? So I go get the person like Vic or somebody that can give me funding for my project. You don't always have to be all three. I think Chris Senegal call it the triangle. I can't quote him to be a T, but if you have the knowledge, if we have a person with the knowledge and a person that has the money, you marry those two together to fund it, right? But you also had to have that same person that had that passion because they got to be patient
Yeah.
because it's not always going to be quick money all the time. They have to understand that too. You know what I mean? If they don't have that same passion, if they expect to get a quick dollar out of whatever that is, then that's not the right person to invest with, or not the right thing to invest with it as well. Like entrepreneurship, you're not going to be rich overnight. You're not going to be rich overnight. When I hit my first million in a year, I didn't even realize it at first. Right? It didn't take until my CPA saying, "Hey, Ken, this is what you did," for me to realize it because it just came so quick.
Yeah.
But I had to take a step back and realize what I did to get to that point and the struggles and the sacrifices that I made to get there, to get where I was at. The people I had to borrow money from. It was some deals that I can attest to, and the people that I invested with it, that I literally gave them all of the profit because I was just grateful that I got the learning experience. And a real person that's really passionate about it wouldn't understand that.
That's
For real.
valid.
No, for real. For
That's
real.
valid. How about you, Vic? How do you suggest people fund their projects if they don't necessarily have like a machine behind them, or you said you bet it on yourself pretty much with going from drawing to the sneakers to etc.
Yeah. So a lot of people, what they don't know about me is I started my entire enterprise with $200. I never had anybody fund me. I never asked. I'm not saying that that's like something that you shouldn't do. I would just say like it's okay to start small, and also with starting small, you got to have that work ethic behind it. You can't just magically turn 200 into millions of dollars. You got to have 200, and you got to have the drive to do so. Most people, they kind of throw away their weekends. They're like, all right, weekends, I'm gonna just take a break. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go have fun. I'm gonna go do this, go do that. I think if you really maximize how much time you have, not just working 9 to 5, 8 hours a day. Talking about working 9 to 9, and then on the weekends doing the same thing. I think you could definitely scale your business from any amount, from just a low starting point to the point where you don't have to ask anybody for anything. So just come with the hustle.
I love how you say that because that's exactly how I struggle with my businesses. Like, I use my 9 to 5 time, and then I still have like, my phone's blowing up right now. So, I still have like my Monday through Friday hustle, but then I utilize my weekends. Okay, y'all don't be seeing me outside, but I'm inside working on my branding and then editing stuff, and then I'm rewatching all my videos to figure
Right.
out what I need to do better next time, what I'm messing up on, what other people are doing. So I'm doing a little market research, and I'm utilizing that time to grow and expand. And in the last year, I look back and I'm like, wow. So it really did pay off to start investing my time.
Yeah.
But another question that I had for you guys, which is, the uncomfortable question of the day, is, we always want to talk about the wins and the motivation and, all the fruits of your labor, right? But we don't talk about the cost to be the boss,
Right.
right? Like the real what I think really makes you into a boss is how much you lose and bounce back from what you lost. So what advice would you give entrepreneurs who are facing losses after losses, big losses, to keep going on?
Consistency and well, let me not say that because you keep moving in the wrong direction too.
Right.
I would say just in my position, just one, I'm a believer, so give it to God, right? Seek advice from people. Be humble.
Yeah.
Lay your pride down, right? It's okay to express your losses, right? It's okay to lose because those L's are actually just lessons all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you take losses. I'm living in a testimony right now, for real. And people like social media makes it cool to be an entrepreneur, which it is cool. You know what I'm saying? When you up, you up and you living. But there's times when you go into entrepreneurship and you down and you struggling and you want to give up. But just understand that if you want to be a boss, you want to be a leader, you want to have employees, that one, leaders eat last. Right? I make sure my payrolls ran every week.
Yeah.
Regardless if I made money or not, I make sure my team is eating. Right? Leaders eat last. Have the passion. Be patient. Know that your team is what keeps you going. Right? It's all about people and processes. Having the right processes in place. If you have the right processes in place, but not the right people, then it's not going to work. Right? And just know that sacrificing, and everybody's not for you on your team. Right? Some of your close friends are not for you on your team. Right? You know, you got to make sure you're moving with the right people and the right activities and having the right people behind your back because you will take a loss. It's like it's bound to happen. But your true character comes out of you when you're down.
That part.
You know what I mean? Like, how strong can you be when you're down? Are you going to give up? Right? Or because the next day is another opportunity. And people forget that.
Yeah.
You may take a loss today, but tomorrow it'll be something totally different. Every day's an opportunity. Like, fuck it, I took a loss today. Let's move on. That's a lesson. I know I'm not gonna ever do that shit again. Or I know I gotta pivot. I know I gotta pivot
Oh,
from
we can
that.
cuss on here?
Oh,
Yeah.
My fault.
You know what I'm saying?
The healing hour, not the
Turn
kitty
to a
hour.
sailor on here. Let's do it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just know that you gotta pivot sometimes, like when you're taking those losses, but just know that when it happens, like, learn from it, write it down, take a picture, remember it, and know how to pivot next time. Always play in offense. Always be ready, right? Because if you playing in defense and you've always been defensive, you're always gonna lose, right? So always plan and have a game plan in place, a strategy in place for those when you hit those losses. Okay, if this happens, I know that I need to pivot this and this happened, right? A lot of people don't have those plans in place. You know what I mean? So just make sure that you have those plans in place. Know that you're gonna take those losses, and when it happens, because it does happen. I'm telling you, I'm living in my testimony right now with these fucking nightclubs. I was saying just like
I'll
that.
touch on that in a
You know what I'm
second.
saying? But just know that it will pay off. You just gotta be consistent with it and patient with it.
I love what you said whenever you didn't say if, you said when you take a loss.
Nah,
Like, it's inevitable. And I feel like, in the age of social media where we have everybody glamorizing entrepreneurships, and all you got to do is make a extra Instagram page and put a little logo on it, and everybody thinks they're the boss. And then in the next few months, you're like, what happened to that page that you had where you were selling X, Y, and Z?
Right.
Because either they didn't get the results they wanted off rip, or they took a loss, they took a major hit, or whatever with the funding. But it's when you take a loss, not if. So it's just like bracing yourself is what I'm getting out of that, like bracing yourself for an L.
Always prepare, but always know that just always have your notebook ready for whatever pivot that be. When the Alabama Crimson Tide win a championship, or when the Patriots or anybody win a championship, those great coaches, even they'll go in the locker room and have this great speech. Congratulations, we won a Super Bowl, but you fucked up here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta get that game sheet going.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but you fucked up here. And so how can you pivot that? Even LeBron has a coach.
Period. You gotta have
Simple
a
as
playbook.
that.
So what do you think? What's your advice?
I think I'm very easygoing with losses. You have to mentally prepare yourself. Obviously, you say when, not if. So we know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So whenever I get into anything, I already act like I lost. So I'm like, once I start this business, I'm a loser for now.
Yeah.
So
loser.
when I lose, it's
Yeah.
not a surprise. Because when people get surprised and caught off guard by a loss, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this no more.
Right.
I compare entrepreneurship to boxing. You get in that ring, you're gonna get hit.
Yeah.
So when you get hit, don't be surprised. Don't be balling up and crying about it. You know what I mean? But now you have to kind of trick yourself. It's like a perspective game. So anytime I take a loss, I always play this game. It's like, would you rather? So I take a loss. Let's say I lose 20,000. I'm like, would you rather be the guy who's working and making 20,000, or would you rather be the guy that could take a loss for 20,000 and just keep rolling?
Right.
You get what I mean? So
Right.
I had one of my homeboys. This is back in college. No, this was right after I dropped out. He was starting his businesses, and we kind of bounce ideas back and forth off each other. And he said his payroll every month was $20,000. To me, $20,000 is a lot of money at the time, especially every month.
Yeah.
So he said, "Thank God my payroll is $20,000 a month." So I'm like, "That's a lot of money. Like, what you mean? Thank God? Like, that's
Right.
crazy."
Yeah.
He said, "Thank God I'm in a position to afford a $20,000 a month payroll and keep my business going." I was just like, okay, that's like a perspective thing. Because some people will make $20,000 and be like, I'm the man. Some people have to dish out $20,000 no matter what happens. That's really who you want to be. You want to be the guy who can afford to take the $20,000 loss every single month and still keep rolling. I'd rather be that guy every time.
And I feel like, you guys both have really valid points and a winner mindset, period. Because that's a winner mindset. I'm the same way. Like, I could eat anything. Like, anything, I just take it to the chin. Like, I'm just built like that. Like, I moved, my little bit about my story, too, is, like, when I moved to Houston, like, I just packed everything in the back of the car and was like, I'm pulling up to U of H, and I'll figure the rest out when I get there. And I took L after L. And it hasn't deterred me from, going to law school, applying and, eventually getting accepted and planning to go next fall. But there were so many losses that would have ate people up. So that came with a lot of mental health hurdles, right? Because although you guys have mindsets of a champion, I'm going to get in the ring, I'm going to get hit, but I'm going to win at the end. How do you deal with the mental stigma of going through those losses?
I think you need to just have some self-time. Time for self. I need to take my own advice. But, I guess my self-time is me working out. You just got to have some type of, like, self-awareness of what your limitations are. You know what I mean? Like, what can you do to mentally prepare for this? You know what I'm saying? It's a daily training to your mind, right? To know that, okay, this is the mind you're going to have. I had to train myself to know that, well, you're saying, oh, I got to pay this payroll, right? Yeah. My payroll every week is about $20,000 a week.
Period.
You know what I mean? And at first I was like, fuck, I'm paying a lot of money out. But I had to realize that it's been covered. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously it's been covered for me to be able to afford to pay that, to have rent that's $27,000 over here, another $10,000 over here. My mortgage is $8,000. My other rent is $3,000. But for me to be able to make the money to be able to afford those things, something is going right. Right. So you had to literally trick your mind to know that, okay, this is okay. Right. This is a normal thing to entrepreneurship. This is a normal thing to success. Right. My little money that I pay per month, we all say we want to be Jeff Bezos, but not realize how much money he spends on a day.
Yeah.
Compared to what we spend in a month, or you know what I'm saying? So or a year,
lifetime.
Or a lifetime.
That's what you do every hour.
Right.
What Jay-Z say, everybody's bosses, so it's time to pay for the office.
Right. No, for real. But just having mental time for yourself, finding a time to spend time and just for yourself. A lot of times we forget as bosses, because successful bosses are people who are servants and givers, that you have to give back to yourself. And whatever that passion is. You know what I'm saying? My passion's coming up, football season. I know that every Sunday, don't hit my phone, because I'm going to be either at the stadium or I'm stuck to a TV. I know that that's my time to myself.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Or I know that every morning before 9 o'clock, I'm at the gym. Or I'm at the park walking around, freeing my mind. You know what I'm saying? Early in the morning, I'm praying. That's just my time to myself, to mentally prepare myself for whatever's about to come in that day.
Right. I think every successful person has a routine. You know, they have they have the 5 a.m. subscription where it's like, oh, you know, billionaires wake up at 5 a.m. They have all these different kind of routines that they label. And yeah, I think that's true. Like they have to, you know, you have to allot time to yourself. You have to allot time to others. You have to give back and you have to, yeah, hustle. So how do you deal with the mental toll of taking L's without giving up?
Um, I kind of do the same thing. Like, you say you go to the gym. I hoop. Like, I just go to the gym, play some ball, and I do that for 3-4 hours a day. After I do that, like, it doesn't matter what's happening while I'm on the court, before I got on the court, after I got the court, it doesn't matter what happened. So even if it's like the worst day ever, I'm gonna still probably go hoop. Um, just having something that you could do, some type of outlet, because there's a lot of stress built up in managing all of these people, all these emotions. You got employees, you got to hire people, you got to fire people. Like business ain't as easy as it looks on Instagram. And obviously, there's losses that's involved and a lot of high stress decision making. So you're feeling that pressure all day, every day, and you got to make the right decision every time. It's like if you fall through on the wrong decision, then it might set you back 2-3 years
Right.
just off a yes or a no. So yeah, it is high stress, and it's just really important to make sure you got the outlet to just keep you balanced. So
I like that. So now we talked about, you know, that mental health space. So part of this episode, I do want to discuss, you know, mental health for Black men, which, you know, is not a topic commonly discussed at all. And so when I first ran this idea past another potential guest, they were like, well, it's not Men's Mental Health Awareness Month anymore. That was in June. And I think that right there is the problem.
man, who said that?
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
You know, they're like, oh, not in like a negative way, but he was like, oh man, like you missed, you didn't do an episode for Black men's mental health for Mental Health Awareness Month. And I'm like, that's the problem. We only focus on one of the months instead of all 12 of the months
Right.
for Black men's mental health. Or just men's mental health in general, but especially Black men's mental health. Because I feel like in our community, there's a stigma, period, about getting help, getting therapy, and talking about your feelings without feeling weak or soft or
Right.
whatever. So I would say for Black men, how do you guys have a community of other Black men who help you through mental problems, or how do you get over it? Is it a self isolating thing?
I think my closest people I have around me is the ones that I can trust and depend on. But you have to depend on people that's on your level too, right? Because then they understand
What
where
you're
you
going
coming
through?
from.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because they're gonna give you real sound, real advice versus somebody who's not on your level.
that part.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta ask somebody who's at your level or higher, because if you go lower, then it's not gonna be there. But just having the people around you that's on your level that you can reach out to and be like, what would you do in this scenario? You know what I'm saying? They can give you some real, genuine advice that is not coming from anywhere but a genuine place. So, yeah, it's my thing.
That's valid.
Yeah, I feel like as you advance and elevate, problems get different.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to hear a solution or advice from someone who's never had that type of problem. It's funny, Moneybag Yo said, if you ain't never had this much money, I can't take your advice.
Right.
And I was like, damn, it sounds like he flexing and bragging, but you ain't never had this much money.
Right.
Then you're not going to understand the type of problems that I'm having. I might come to you and be like, hey, I lost 200 grand today in the stock market. What you think I should do?
All I could do is pray for you.
The wrong person, the wrong person might, damn, 200 grand, like,
You gonna get a job or something.
you know what I mean? But somebody else might be like, okay, sell this and buy some more stocks. It's at a discount right now.
Right.
Because he's making way more money than me. So he understands he didn't seen losses. He lost 2 million in that same day. So he's seeing it from a different perspective. So you gotta at least have what I got or more, or been where I've been or worse, for me to take your advice. So yeah, my close group of people, it's all people that are either where I'm at or have already been where I'm at. So
That's sound advice. I never really thought about it that way, in a sense to where it's the quality of who you're venting to.
right.
That
I
makes a lot of
always
sense.
I always
That
tell like
example.
people around me because I mean I have somebody trying to come get in Jolie right now.
See, that's that entrepreneurship. Our
trying to
phone's been
break into
going off this whole
They
time.
trying to break into Jolie, and I'm just playing, not breaking in. There's only two people that got access to that alarm, and it's me and Money Madu that's sitting outside.
Oh, okay.
But I always tell people around me because I just deal with. I mean, I got like 50 employees, right? Some of them are really, really, really close to me,
Yeah.
right? Like some of them are considered like some of my best friends or whatever. But I always tell them, you know what I'm saying, like, watch who you vent to, right? Because sometimes the people you vent to may be sad and want you bringing you down and not realizing that you are above them, right? And I give some of the realest advice to my closest people. Like, if they give you some broke advice, I'm not calling them broke as no.
I love that though. Broke advice.
No, for real. I'm not always talking about money broke because a lot of
Yeah.
times people are broken right
It's
here.
a mindset.
Right? And they maybe give you some advice that's not the right advice. You know what I mean? Like I had to tell somebody the other day, like, I understand you been through this. You
Yeah.
going through this right now. I was literally like right there next to you when you was going through it, right? But you cannot let that bring you down. You have goals you got to reach. You have goals you want to. You got places you want to be at. Like the people that you have around you, honestly, they're not for you. That's your best friend, and I love them, but that's not the person for you. That's not the person you want to get advice from. They're literally tearing you down and trying to bring you to where they are, and you cannot let that happen. You are like who you hang around. I never thought that was true until I started hanging around different people. And I remember this conversation I had with one of my homeboys. He was like, I was telling him about one of these successful entrepreneurs I know. Dude drives, man, he got Ferraris, he got Lamborghinis. I'm not talking about Vic this time. He got Rolls Royces. I mean, dude's worth over $100 million, right?
Yeah.
And I tell him like, I'm gonna go hang with him, whether it's cool hanging out with him. He like, man, why you riding this nigga dick? I'm like, I'm not riding his dick.
That's
but
crazy.
Nah, for real.
Some free game. You know?
I'm like, this dude has he has things I want.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's
Right.
living the life I want to live.
You aligning yourself with
I'm
that
aligning
frequency.
myself with it. If he invites me into his world, I'm gonna allow that time so I can learn and see what he's doing differently in life than what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? This same dude that I'm talking about was the same guy who gave me the opportunity at 23 to be the service director at BMW.
Yeah.
I watched him write an $80 million check to somebody. So of course I don't need to figure out what the fuck he got going on.
What he doing?
What is he doing
Yeah.
that I'm not doing? Who is he? What can I do? And every time I talk to him now, I just tell him thank you. Thank you for the opportunity that you gave me when I was literally nobody because you believed in me. And everything I learned from you, I'm taking and I'm pouring it to everybody else. It's like a sifter, like it's coming through me. Like I take what I learned from the outside community and I bring it to my community. Now, sometimes when I bring it to my community, it kind of just sips all the way through, which is unfortunate. But sometimes it catches to the right people, and that's what's most important.
You just gotta touch one person.
That's it.
And you made your impact.
That's it, and that's what it's about. As long as I can bring everybody else, if the people I need to bring up is coming up with me, I'm good.
Period.
That's it.
Solid. I like that.
So what about you? Any advice? Like, I know you know, just by your change in industries, I know you had to have some systems in place where you don't, you can't hang low for too long.
I would just say if you're surrounded by the wrong people, you're not gonna know until somebody that's not in that cage come and pull you out. So it's like smoke and mirrors. If all your friends play 2K and smoke weed all day, you're not gonna know something's wrong.
Right.
Until somebody that doesn't do that comes around and says like, hey, this not cool. We almost 30 or we almost 40. Like it's time to start doing things differently. It's time to start learning things on the weekends versus playing NCAA 25 because it just came out. And the crazy part about social media is like they're pumping this entertainment and this hype so you feel like you missing out the whole time. You know what I mean? Like you can have 100 things to do that's important, but then get on Instagram and see everybody playing NCAA 25 and all your priorities is going to go out the window. You going to hop on the train because that's what everybody's doing. And it's cool to talk about it and it's fun to get on the team and build your 5-star recruits and do all of that. It's fun to do that. But it's boring to do the hard shit. It's boring to do the things that you need to do. And people want to be entertained. We're in a world of entertainment in fast exchanges and transactions. Like 7-second videos do the best. If it's 30 seconds, it's too long. But 10 years ago, 30 seconds was too short. So it's like people's attention span is changing. That's why there's a new phone every year. That's why there's a new game every year. That's why there's a new car every year, because people's attention span don't hold that much. So that's why they got to keep feeding you these distractions so you can go down this rabbit hole of just doing bullshit all day. They don't want people to be multimillionaires. They don't want people to come up in their community and change shit. They don't want people to come and buy the block back. They don't want people to do none of that.
I don't want you to have a bigger house than Kanye.
Hey, they don't want you to have nothing. Not really though. They don't want you to have the things that they have.
Yeah.
And the same thing he was saying was like, you got to get around those type of people. And the crazy part is, like, a lot of people who are poor, a lot of people who are broke, they hate what they want to be.
Yep.
They'll say things like, eat the rich, or rich people are wicked, and they, they do all these type of
Money
things.
don't buy happiness.
Money don't buy happiness.
Yeah, do.
Right. But it's like, if I wrote you a check for 10 million, what you gonna do? You gonna take it?
You gonna be happy at the mother.
You gonna grab it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People would say, eat the rich, then go play the lottery at the gas station.
Right.
That part.
So it's like, you got to line yourself up with what you want to be and who you want to be. If you keep saying and chiming into all the bullshit on the internet, then you're not going to chase that thing because you keep telling yourself that you don't want to be that. Because those people are wicked, or those people are strange, or those people are evil. So I would just say, get your priorities right. Make sure you're around the right people. And shit, birds of a feather do flock together. So
Yeah.
They do. If you hang around 9 bums, you're going to be the 10th bum. But I like what you said, though. Like, the thing that you're supposed to do is always boring.
Right.
And that's where the discipline comes in, and that's where the champion mindset comes in. And yeah, like I just saw Kiki Palmer's podcast where she interviewed Tyler Perry, who's obviously a giant in the industry, and his thing was he had to rearrange his mindset because he was like, I was trying to take people up with me, which is like what Ken was saying, like sometimes it's the people around you. He was like that if they were trying to soar as high as I was soaring, they would die. They wouldn't get oxygen where I was going. So I couldn't even bring them up for their sake. Right. Not even for my sake, but for their sake, they wouldn't survive in my environment. So
that makes sense.
That aligns with.
It's a lot. And sometimes a lot of people don't realize that when you're coming up as an entrepreneur, like sometimes God will stop you from reaching certain levels in life if you have certain people around you.
That part.
And you don't even realize it. Sometimes you'll be your growth will be stumped because of the people you have around you. You're trying like to pull them up, and you have to realize that they're actually kind of holding you down. And as hard as it may seem, as hard as it may be to cut that person off, as soon as you do it, the next day, how your growth just like it's immediately like the opportunity, the door immediately opens because that stop is now out the way.
Oh, yeah, you shut them at the last frequency.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that because I touched on that on my last episode where we were talking about cutting people off and ascending after doing so. And it's just like, I felt that in my own personal business. Whenever I've tried to like team up with other girls or like do this and that, they didn't have the anointing over their life that, that I have for mine. Whatever their path was their path, and I was trying to bring them in, and I was like, why is my revenue not budging? And I'm able to go so much further on my own, just being my own entrepreneur. So yeah, that's pretty valid.
For sure.
Yeah, and so I guess I just want to close out with one more question. So what do you guys think is we've talked about the losses, we talked about the good things. So what is your personal motivating factor? Because everybody has to have some kind of motivation that no matter what L you take, 200,000, 2 million, you think about that goal and it keeps you going. So what's that for you?
I think for me personally now, it's probably cliche, but it's not because it's important. It's my legacy and my family. Like I see my daughter and the lifestyle that I'm able to give her now at 8, and to see the type of lifestyle that she can live, and to see the people that's around me and the type of lifestyles they live. I want that for myself. You know what I mean? I want people to look back and say, man, Ken really came from this and turned into this. Right. You know what I mean? I really want my legacy to live on forever, regardless of whatever that may be. You know what I mean? My passion is real estate. I want to own a lot of it. My passion is architectural design. My passion is living a beautiful life. My passion is having a big, beautiful home. You know what I mean? Like, my planes, my yachts. Like that's the lifestyle I want to live. That's the lifestyle I'm going to live. Let me put it out like that, right? And I'm going to make sure I'm taking the proper steps to get there, right? You know, my wives to make sure that my entire family is taken care of, in which they are, and to make sure that people around me that didn't have the opportunity to live this type of lifestyle get that opportunity for just being around me. So yeah.
That's pretty solid though. I mean, you said it's cliche, but I think it's really sincere. Like it's not just for you; it's for the life you get to give your daughter, and not everybody could say that.
Right.
So, what about you? What is your bullseye?
Um, it changes over time.
Okay.
When you first start, it's just like you just want a meal because you broke. And
Yeah.
then when you actually get some money, it's like, okay, now you want to keep it. But once you get past the keeping the stage and a lot of things become automated and systems in place, you got residual income, like the money go coming regardless. Um, it starts to feel like you're like a superhero to those around you. I remember being in a place where somebody would need something, and I'd just be like, "Damn, I can't do nothing about it."
Like damn.
You know, damn, that's crazy. You know, like someone's like, oh, you know what I mean? Because your family, they gonna tell you their problems, whether
Yeah.
you could do something about it or not.
Exactly.
But I always want to be someone who can provide a solution. And
Okay.
you know, 10 years ago, somebody told me, "Damn, my tire flat. I'm on the side of the freeway." Damn, that's crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now it's like, oh yeah, I'm finna send a tow truck and I'm gonna take it to my guy's shop. I'm gonna take care of it. Don't worry about it.
But
It's
when do
like,
you know when to cut that off, though?
number one, it depends on who it is,
Right.
and also once you get to a certain point, you'd rather do more for people than do less for people, because at the same time, as you're serving people, as you're being a giver, you're also building this tighter community around you, and you want to make sure, like I said, you're doing it for the right people. Because if it was you, you would want somebody to look out for you the same way you did. Because it might not just be a money issue. You might have all the money in the world, but you might not have access to it at a certain time, or it might not be something that's related to money at all. But if you need something for somebody, you could be like, hey, you can confidently ask because you done did so much, and it won't feel like a problem. So I just like the ability to be able to like wave a magic wand and push buttons and just do things for people that I want for people to do for me. So
I believe that money is a frequency, and I feel like the biggest earners are also the biggest givers. So I think that's really interesting that you brought that up. Is like a servant heart. I feel like a lot of people who give, the stingier you are, the more money runs away from you.
right.
And so even with you guys showing up today, like y'all did not even have to come over here. It took you guys a long time to get here, but
You trying to
you
say we
know,
was late?
We was late. So
no, like
we here
it
though.
was far from where y'all were.
Cool.
And Ken, I know you, but Vic, this is our second time seeing each other. And so it's like that same service heart. Like you didn't have to come on my podcast and turn it up, but you did.
Right.
And I'm always gonna remember that.
Right.
So it's just like you've impacted me just by, sitting here and talking to my audience. So yeah, that's why y'all stay blessed, period.
I think the most successful people, like we said, the biggest givers. My prayer every day, and I want to make sure I say that everywhere, every time I get a chance, is to be a blessing to people around me, to everybody. Everybody think I'm too nice, and I really am. But God gave me the ability, and sometimes I forget myself that I pray that prayer. But then God quickly reminds me every day that I pray this prayer to be a blessing to people around me. And when that comes to being a blessing, you're going to have a lot of this, right? But if you have it to give, my mindset is I have a savings account. I got my retirement plan going. My bills can be paid next month. I can give you. You know what I mean? That's my biggest thing, and it's to be a blessing. And you say know when to cut it off. I don't think that's I don't know how to cut it off. Right? I'm too nice. When somebody needs something, and they sincerely need it, that like if God gave me the ability to give, I'm gonna give it to them. Period.
Period.
Right? Because then at the end of the day, when I give them that small blessing, which may be big to them, God got a bigger blessing waiting for me.
That part. I had a previous episode where I had a financial advisor on here, and we were talking about that. We're both from like an island, me and the financial advisor. And one thing that we talked about was like that lack mentality and growing out of that, and like coming from like a poor immigrant home where it's like hand to mouth. even though like, I grew up with a generous family who gave what they had, it was still like a scarcity mindset. So whenever I started to make money, it was a challenge to push the limits of my earning capabilities because I'm thinking like, I gotta save all this money. I can't give all that out.
Right.
But now it's like, when I broke that barrier, it's like, wow, okay, so I can make more than that if I break that mindset. So
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, so I want to thank you guys so much, and then I'm just gonna give you guys like the floor to maybe any business pages you want to promote. Maybe like tell us a little bit about it so we can follow you, or buy some. I mean, probably not. I guess properties.
Right.
Whoever
Well, well, you
listening.
got
However we can support.
Come get funded.
right. Come get funded. So I
Right.
got you can follow my Instagram page is ken.gilliard. Or you can follow my mortgage company, it's Top Choice Lending. Or you can follow any of my clubs that you want to turn up in that Vic say don't come to on the weekends, but I say come to and pop some bottles.
That's
Why
for
you
his
hate
pockets,
it?
not y'all.
Come pop some bottles. Nah, but come to
I'll be in there supporting,
yeah, you be
though.
in there, you know.
Every once in a while, every
it's
year.
good networking places to be at. Jolie is a good networking place. It's growing and sexy. It's official Jolie HTX, and you got official Bliss HTX. It's my two clubs and lounges. So come in. A lot of people be in there. A lot of networking events happening there. You'll see me in there trying to find some real estate deals. So yeah, follow those pages.
That's good. My personal, I think my handle is universal. That's GOAT_Vig with 2 C's. Follow Go Sports. That's Go Sports Bets with an S on all handles. And then everything that I do is pretty much on my personal page, so you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And that was today's episode of the Healing Hour podcast. Thank you so much.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye-bye.
You're out.